Mixer, and Twitch.
Nice.
And the post show, either it'll be just YouTube and Facebook or just YouTube. I don't know. I'll see. Last week I was going to do it just on YouTube, and then like somebody said there were some sound issues or something on YouTube, so I did it on Facebook too.
Nice. Yeah, I see we're live on YouTube now.
Cool. And so, and then we do like a post show at 8:00, and I just throw out the link, and anybody can jump in with us. I is going to stay on, and Joe Pardo is going to come back in for that as well. So we'll just kind of keep the discussion going at that point. Everybody will be on, and
nice,
kind of fun, kind of like the old Blab. I don't know if you remember Blab, but it was kind of like the old Blab post shows.
Yeah, I never got into it, but I heard a lot about it.
Yeah, Blab's where I found live streaming on Blab. You right there?
Yep, that's my son.
Oh, okay.
So he won't be making noise during.
Let me just check. Let me check the comments on Facebook. Make sure that's working. Let's go. Okay, so now I go into Restream. I see that there. I see it in StreamYard. Excellent. So we are just about ready to go.
All right.
Welcome to everybody watching. Let's see, where are we today? We are on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitter, Twitch, and Mixer. So welcome to everybody watching, and do stay tuned. At 8:00, we're going to do some post show, and all the guests will come back on. I'll throw out the link, and you're welcome to join us as well and come on camera. This can hold up to 6 people, and we like to put it to the test. So
yeah,
we will do that. Your lighting looks great. Nice background there and lighting and everything.
Thank you. It's all brand new. Finally got a somewhat of a set here, as opposed to just a green wall that I've been using.
Sounds good. So it's 7:00. I'm going to drop you down for a second, and we'll get started, and then I'll do an intro and bring you back up.
Perfect. Looking forward to it.
Sounds good. All right, so we will go into sort of a podcast open or whatever, and then we will go into the show. And again, we'll do a pre-show, post-show afterwards. And I'll be checking the chat. I'll bringing questions in from the chat. So if you have questions for our guests, do throw those in the chat. We'll be bringing those in along the way. Anyway, 3, 2, and 1. Hey gang, Ross Brand here for LivestreamUniverse.com. Welcome to Brand on Broadcasting. It's the show where we talk all things broadcasting with a focus on the online space. Of course, live streaming, podcasting, video creation, Alexa smart speakers, everything else, including repurposing content, which we're going to talk to Dan Norton about in just a moment. Also, Super Joe Pardo's coming up. He's got a new TV show. He's also an award-winning podcaster and the founder of MapCon, the Mid-Atlantic Podcast Conference, where I'll be speaking. That's worth checking out if it's going to be in Atlantic City, New Jersey this year. Podcast midatlantic.com. If you're interested in getting tickets to that, should be a great event. Also, we have Addyson-Zhang. Dr. Zhang is making her first appearance on Livestream Universe show. It's been far too long, but she's a great friend, and she'll also be speaking at Social Media Week Lima. So if you haven't gotten your tickets yet and you can make it next week to Lima, Ohio, Jessica Phillips and her team at Mao Marketing have put together a wonderful, wonderful event. I was part of it last year. Looking forward to going back again this year. And If you can make it, livestreamuniverse.com/SMWL19, livestreamuniverse.com/SMWL19 for more information about Social Media Week Lima. And we're using StreamYard as we often do. We're going out via StreamYard to Restream, and then we're going from Restream to all the different platforms that I mentioned a couple seconds ago. And what was interesting is I was on YouTube earlier. No, I was on LinkedIn earlier, and a notification came across saying ABC News is live on LinkedIn Live. And below it, it said the first line was live streaming or multi-streaming with Restream.io, which is what we're using. And there were two interesting things. First of all, how cool is it that ABC News is using the same product that we are to push our broadcast to different platforms? The second thing that stood out is apparently they only have either the free or the lowest tier plan, because they got the branding on it just like I do when I send it across. So they must have the lowest tier plan, or they're using the free plan if unlike us, they're not going to a Facebook page. So I thought that was interesting, both that they're using Restream and that they didn't buy a plan that takes the branding off. Anyway, let's get to our first guest. Dan Norton is one of the founding members of the New York City Video Mastermind. He is Dan, I'm not seeing your video. You may want to hop off and refresh. All right. So Dan Norton, I'll give the introduction while he's refreshing. Dan Norton is one of the members of the New York City Video Mastermind that I'm a part of, bringing some video creation, YouTube type community to the East Coast. There we go. And Dan is also a terrific live streamer. Went live 22 hours at Vid Summit as part of Daryl Eaves's IRL live stream. So there was the official event live stream, and then Dan took over at one point. Again, 22 hours he was live on Daryl Eaves' YouTube channel with behind the scenes live streaming. And then now he's got a business called Repurpose Pro, and he's helping people repurpose live stream shows onto social media in small clips that really stand out, adding branding, adding production and editing. And here we are. So welcome. I got the introduction out of the way, Dan. So welcome. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you. And of course, live streaming, always, that's the way it happens. You get the tech issues right as you go live, right?
It's live. You never know what's going to happen. So before we get to Repurpose Pro, have you been doing any more IRL live streaming since Vid Summit?
No, I haven't. I think part of me is still exhausted from that right now. Now I haven't even done much content since then. I've had a number of people call me out on that, I believe. But that's because I've been focusing on my business. Now that I've got my business up and running and we're going places, now I really want to start figuring out my personal content plan. And I'm sure it's going to involve some of those things. It has to. It's part of my story, right?
So let's talk about your business that you have going, Repurpose Pro. I've seen vidIQ. I've seen self-publish with Dale Roberts, a good friend. I've seen his stuff, and it looks fantastic. Give us an overview of what you're doing with their live streams to put them on social media.
Well, so what I'm doing is helping people who have live stream or long form content repurpose their videos to get more maximum impact of social media, right? I mean, you would know, Ross, being one guy who's in the live streaming business and in the content creating business, you want to focus on one platform, but the reality is you need to be everywhere. Exactly why you're doing 6 live stream platforms at once, because you want to get the greatest reach of your content, especially if you're a business or a brand that's growing. You want to reach more people and, get them the help that you can offer them, or get your brand in front of them. And the people who hang out on Instagram might not be going over to YouTube to look for something. They may never come across your videos. They may want to find something, but may never search for it. So you want to be able to reach them with your content. But long form video doesn't necessarily work too well on so many of the platforms. And you want to take the advantage of these long form pieces, these hour long or more, or even 10-minute long pieces that you could cut down into smaller segments that are very consumable for Facebook and Instagram, right? This was even something that Michael Stelzner talked about, why he stopped doing the long form content on Facebook, and that he saw that 1-minute videos perform way better, and that's what they're going to focus on. So for me, I was like, well, I could help so many people who have these long live streams or long form video content that could then be repurposed into smaller pieces, 1-minute segments. And that's what I started to do for clients, and found out that's really where I think I can help the best, especially people who either don't have the time to edit or don't know how to edit and don't really have the time to learn, because it's a lot of work, right? To take that video down and cut out these small segments. I know you do it. So what I'm doing for them is someone like Richard Moore, right? Great entrepreneur, teaches business and sales. He's out of London. And what I do for him is he does a live stream once a week. We go in, we find a segment that would work really well and repurpose it and put it in an emotion grabbing title, because that's so important to stop the scroll, right? You got to stop the scroll. That ain't going to happen with just, the blog, the blurb of text that you put on there. It's got to be this emotion grabbing title that stops them, and they'll watch for the few seconds and keep bringing them in with captions along the bottom. Because, I mean, let's face it, most people don't watch video with audio on, which is sad, because I think audio is such an important part of video, but they don't. And so we have to, change. We have to alter what we do for that. So adding captions is a must.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing, is in doing these 1-minute segments. Same thing for Dale, self-publishing with Dale. It's not live streams for him. It's repurposing portions of his videos that already exist. So he's got this massive value, massive content that he can then go out and repurpose that and reach new audiences, or reach the audience that he already has on those platforms, but with things that maybe they forgot about or haven't looked at, or maybe are on the brink of wanting to buy, and they just need to see that one video to change them. So that's what's been really cool. And we've been seeing a lot of success with the clients that I have been working with.
That's awesome. One of the things I noticed in Dale's, and I don't know whether this is just the way Dale does his show, or this is an element you add in, but I noticed with Dale, at some point you tend to zoom in on him as he's making a point. Is that something you're doing, or is that from his original video?
It most of the time it's from his original video.
Okay.
Because those are already edited videos as opposed to live streams. But there are occasions where I will zoom in, one, to keep it moving, to keep it flowing, even for a minute, right? I mean, a few seconds is the human's attention span. I believe that we're less than a goldfish currently. So I think that's the human. I believe that's what I know. Sean Cannell said at his event that I was at last year, Grow with Video. And it was like, yeah, so we've actually lessened our attention span to that less of a goldfish, like less than 7 seconds, or just above 7 seconds. So you have to keep people watching. So maybe switching and changing things up is what you need to do, with even within a 1-minute video. But also, understand with live streams, like look at this right now. We've got this, 2-shot with your branding up in the corner and my name down at the bottom, but that's already a lot of words to a little square or slightly vertical video that's also going to have a ton of words at the top and the bottom. So sometimes you got to cut in for a live stream that you don't have access to the layers to remove, and you got to crop in to get rid of that, because otherwise it'll just be too much, or people question, oh, why is that there? Because it might not matter.
Right.
So we do sometimes have to crop in or zoom in. For that particular one, it's a lot of those are from his original video.
Now the colors, let's talk about some of the different elements. Like the colors that you put really make it stand out. Do you do different colors for everybody's brand, or have you tested and kind of came up with a color scheme that you think works no matter whose video you're taking and repurposing?
So it really depends on the brand, the person, and what you're looking to do. We've changed some colors. I mean, we talk about, you've probably seen with Dale's, right? Most of his stuff is his branding. It's blue. But occasionally we throw in a green or a red, but it's not just random.
Mhm.
It's going along with what he's saying. So he's talking about the brand rev.com. I use them for my captions a good portion of the time, and for captioning on those videos. I also got a friend who does it, and she's excellent. And then she's part of the team. So it's that is where, if he's talking about that, we change the color to red. Well, one, because it's Rev branding, and it also stands out, but it's not something we're going to do all the time because it's not his branding colors. Other times, though, I try to stick with what the branding colors are, but there's always room to test and try. It depends on what the client wants, right? What they want best for their brand and what's working. I do think changing up the colors occasionally, though, works really well for something like Instagram, because it kind of shocks you or takes you off of what you normally are used to seeing, right? So instead of thinking it's just the same thing, you're now seeing something new in your feed. Could stop the scroll, which is the goal. Stop the scroll, get them to watch, get them to listen. I mean, if they could turn the audio on, even better. And then if they go to whatever link you direct them to, or even if you don't direct them and you cause them to comment, we've seen some great stats with views and comments on LinkedIn with these Square meme videos. It's been really cool to see that there.
Do you go with the idea that basically the Square works everywhere except for maybe YouTube?
Yeah, so Square, I think, is powerful because, one, it doesn't kind of get squished. It takes up more of your phone frame. Most people are watching on their phones. That's why I think Square works well, because it's made for a mobile device. Instagram actually this year is turning more to, like, I was even talking about this with Ariel Vieira of Urbanist Live. The other day we met up in the city after one of his live streams, and we're talking about how Instagram is a little more of like a 4:5 now. So like a little more of a rectangle, but not a full, full rectangle, not a 9:16. So it's slightly more vertical. So it's like 1080 by like 1350 or something. I got to get those down right. I haven't actually created those yet, but that's actually something I want to test next.
Right.
Because that seems to be what Instagram is wanting. They're pushing more content that is of that sizing. So it really depends on the platforms and what they're looking to push. I still think Square kind of works across the board if you're not going to create for specifics. So if you're going to repurpose a piece of content from your YouTube channel, which I wouldn't recommend doing Square ever,
right?
But because it's awkward and weird and doesn't feel right. It's meant to stop a scroll, where YouTube, you're not stopping a scroll. You might want to repurpose specifically for Instagram, where you might want to put a link in bio that you would never use on any other platform. I think that's what happens when people hear the word repurpose and they think like, oh, it's just kind of like using the same exact video everywhere. But that's not really the best way to repurpose, right? You have to have a plan to repurpose and a purpose to repurpose. Is where are we going to put this? How is it going to work best on these locations? So maybe in Instagram, we do a 4:5 slightly vertical video, and it's got a link that says link in the bio, or it got a, something that says link in bio on the video. But then we do a square for over on LinkedIn, because it works pretty nice. It works well on that platform, and it just looks good on mobile. So
have a purpose to repurpose. I like that.
Yes.
So when you are putting this together, what kind of time commitment is it? Like, how much time are you probably saving the people who are your clients or your customers?
Oh man, it could be a lot, because, well, here's the thing. There are a lot of apps out there, and every one of us have probably tried a bunch of them, and maybe they work really well, and they do if you're just trying to get stuff done for real cheap, right? Something done quick, I could just do it on my phone. Here's this app that just does this, right? But it looks and feels like an app sometimes. But what we do here, it's all custom made. We use Photoshop, After Effects, and Adobe Premiere. All of this stuff is done with branding in mind. So we're taking your branding, we're taking your logos, and putting that up as the playhead that goes across the bottom, right? A lot of these apps don't give you the playhead.
Right.
They don't give you that playhead that goes across. It's just like a PNG that you just drop on top, and that's it, right? It's just this a video that goes out, it's like an image. Right. But with what we do for you is you're going to get custom made. It's going to be embedded on the video with your branding, with your colors that could be fully customizable, fully changed depending on the video. That's hours, I would say, because you have to know Photoshop. You have to know how to actually create this stuff. You have to know how to animate your own logo, right? That could take a lot of work too, or that could just be more money from some guy on Fiverr that's going to send
Right.
you, something that's not going to look great because they're from, they're just throwing stuff out there for people. So that's where I think it does save potentially hours or days of work from going in, downloading or screen capturing whatever section of your video it is. So that's where I think it is a huge time saver, because you got to work on your business instead of working in it and doing all these little things.
Right, right. So is it generally like people are taking one clip from a live stream, or are they taking multiple? Like, are some of your customers doing multiple clips from live streams?
We are doing both. So let's say someone like Richard Moore, we're taking one section of his video and repurposing that. But then with Nellivs, you've seen, like, you could go look at his and his Instagram. We've got tons of stuff, and some of them from the same videos, some of them from different. It's really whatever you want and whatever you need, right? What are your needs and how much value do you have? You've got this live stream, Russ. Look at this. We got an hour-long live stream. Right. You got amazing guests coming up after me that are going to have some amazing segments and amazing things said. Those little bits that some people may not get to because they don't watch the whole 1 hour live stream, or they missed it and forgot about it, but they get to catch that one little thing. I mean, that could be the difference for them when they make a decision, or when they go to live stream the next time, or whatever it is that comes up. Those little bits of value could be so powerful for your brand on all of these different networks. And you could expand and put that out. Let's say a guest of yours has a book that's coming out in 6 months from now, and they talk about their book. 6 months from now, you could save that clip, never post it, and wait until that book launch is going live. Now you've got something that could go out and say, hey, remember when so-and-so was on my show? Here's a valuable clip from them. Their book is coming out. Now that person's more likely to reshare that little clip as opposed to this entire live stream with other guests and stuff, right? That becomes then powerful for not only your brand, but for them. So I think there's so many ways to look at this, so many ways to consider how live streaming could be, how repurposing live streams or repurposing long form video could be very powerful for your brand.
We're talking with Dan Norton. He's the founder of Repurpose Pro. You can find him on Twitter at DNortonFilms. And if you have any questions for Dan, he will be joining us again in the post show. Once the show is over, you can throw those questions in the chat, and I will ask them to Dan or for any of our guests after the other interviews are done, or you can even come into an open seat. I will put that link out as we go into post show at 8 p.m. Eastern, and you can come right in and ask Dan or any of our guests the question. New York City Video Mastermind. What is that? I've seen that hashtag around. What in the world is that?
I wonder what that is, Ross. I wonder who is part of this.
I don't know if I know anybody.
Yeah, well, New York City Mastermind is a group of a couple guys who've met, who all kind of live up here in the Northeast around New York City, and we have been meeting up and hanging out in the West Coast because that's where all the video conferences are. And we're like, why are we doing that? And that would be myself, Dan Currier of Creator Fundamentals, Jay Liebs of Liebs Media, or Jay Liebs Media. We've got John, You Do It, or Ray Gore, or whatever his name is on whatever platform he's on. But you can pretty much find him as You Do It everywhere except Facebook. Right. Although I think he's got a bunch of Facebooks. And this guy, Ross Brand, he's also part of it.
I don't know,
yes.
Yeah, it's been awesome, and you were one of the ones that really came up with the idea and said, why are we going to LA? And Jay Liebs lives, I don't know, 20 minutes, 30 minutes from me, and the only times I've seen him have been in LA until you started this group. So it's Well, no, I did see him in the airport when we were
Yeah.
both going to Vid Summit. So
On your way to LA.
yeah, on the way to LA. So
might as well have been in LA.
Repurpose, bro. How should people get in touch with you if they're interested in your repurposing services?
So right now, because we're building and launching some things, and we're still figuring out the best approach of done for you or done with you, or do it yourself products and services and ways to help you. The best way right now is repurposevideo.com. Go ahead and put your name and email there, and we'll be in touch with you as everything starts to launch this year. It's really exciting. I'm so pumped for what's to come as we are getting ready to launch this. So this way you'll know once the website is up, once content starts going up. We'll be sharing with you videos and a whole lot of different things, guests and whatnot. But the best way to be informed is repurposevideo.com, where you can put your name and email, and we will be in touch with you. You'll get an email right away, and you'll get a survey to fill out real quick so we can figure out how to best help you and your needs for repurposing live video, long form video. It's just exciting. It's going to be a really fun rest of 2019. I mean, we're almost done with Q2. Can you believe that? Like, it's insane. Crazy.
Awesome. Well, we'll talk to you some more in the post show. Thanks so much for joining us, Dan, and stick around.
I'll be here. Thank you so much, Russ. Looking forward to the post show.
That's Dan Norton. Again, repurposevideo.com. You see his square videos all over social media where he repurposes live streams and does an awesome job at it. Quick hello to Tish Rosales, Daryl Stern. Thank you so much for joining us. Mike Van Duzy, Terry Johnson, Lenny Besterman, Tachi from Mediascope. Great show. Check that out Wednesday nights, I think 6 p.m. Eastern. Ariel Vieira's here. Ariel, so nice to see you. I've heard great things about you from Dan, and look forward to connecting. And now let's bring in our next guest. It is a guy who was actually on Livestream Deals last month, and I got fascinated. We were actually talking about the Mid-Atlantic Podcast Conference, which Super Joe here is the founder of the Mid-Atlantic Podcast Conference. So we were on to talk about that, and I asked him a quick question about his TV show that he just started, and became fascinated with all the different things that he's doing to produce it, to shoot it, to develop it, to do the storyline, to get the guests. I don't know how you do all those things, but it's amazing. So welcome back. Before this time, we'll talk really quick about MapCon, and then we'll get into video. So great to see you, Joe. Tell everybody what's going on with MapCon and how they can get some more information about it.
Yeah, great to see you, Super Ross. Thank you so much for having me back. It is an absolute honor and a pleasure to be back with you. And MapCon, Mid-Atlantic Podcast Conference. You can go to midatlanticpodcast.com. It's September 6th and 7th. It's a live event in Atlantic City held at the incredible, really incredible Ocean Resort Casino. It was a $2 billion facility when it was built, just I don't know, not even 10 years ago.
Wow.
And was resurrected by a great guy named Bruce. Anyway, we're bringing the conference down there. It's our 5th year, so it's MapCon 5. There's so many things to talk about. In fact, I just did an hour-and-a-half live stream last night, which I think you popped in for at least a little bit there.
Yeah,
Ross.
I did. I saw a little bit of it.
Answering lots of questions about MapCon. So if you're interested in that, go to midatlanticpodcast.com. You can actually click the play button, listen to the audio version of that, or if you go to the Facebook page, you can get that whole interview. There's just so much information that's coming out since we last talked.
Yeah. So how exciting moving it to Atlantic City. And this is going to be my first year going. I'm going to be speaking there, and I can't wait. If you're just meeting Joe for the first time, Joe Pardo is an award-winning podcaster, business with Super Joe Pardo, and now he's got a TV show called The Top, with
Yes.
Super Joe Pardo. And I know I've asked you this before, but for everybody who may be joining us for the first time, tell us what the top stands for in your show.
The top stands for the team, offer, and process. It's the formula that I use to develop business growth in businesses. I wrote a book called Sales Won't Save Your Business. Obviously, you need sales or you have no business.
Right.
But once you get past a certain early stage point, it's time to really look at your team, your offer, and your process, and how you can develop a plan to accelerate the growth in your business using those three titles, or as known as the top.
Cool. So before, when we had you on, the show was getting ready to premiere. You had your first show on YouTube. Tell us how you feel it went, where you are in the process of moving forward.
Yeah, so it was very nerve-wracking. I felt like I was holding my breath for about an hour and a half from the time leading up to the time after the episode premiered on YouTube. It was a lot of fun. I'm so glad we got so much support and people that came out to watch. The show continues to get views after the fact. So the reason I went with putting the show onto YouTube first was to get people to be like, hey, I want to sponsor this. I want to, get my business on there because I feel like I could be doing a better job than I am with my small business. So we put it up on YouTube. It was great. It's helped get a lot of conversations started with a lot of different sponsors and businesses. In fact, right after I'm done with the after show of this show, I have an interview with a potential business to be on the show. So we're rapidly moving forward with all of the production and looking at distribution. I feel like I kind of am getting the impression that I want to get at least like 5 or 6 episodes done before I go and actually like sign that contract to like go for it on TV, because the network wants like 26 episodes, and that's a lot. I mean, there's a ton of production work that goes into this, and I hope we can actually talk about some of that production work, because that's so I actually reached into my trunk of my car to like grab some of the gear that I use. Right. To show off, and I have more I can grab, but I didn't want to grab like the whole bag because I knew we were kind of limited for time.
So now, are you a one-man shop, or you have somebody else that's working with you?
So I had somebody working with me, decided to part ways with that person, and now what I'm doing is I have like a couple, like 3 people that I'm going to work with to get the show shot. So when we go and shoot, like it's better for me to have somebody else with me that like run down the checklist of shots that we want to make sure that we get. It's better to have somebody that actually help get those shots done quicker, so we can get to more of the meat. Like there's a lot of B-roll and things of that nature. Some gets used, some doesn't. But now that I've done one, I know what I'm looking for. And now I can start to say, okay, this is the formula. Like this is the block, and now I can like add crown molding to the block. It's like here's the house. It's 4 walls, and a roof and a floor, and now we have that. So now we can start to like add extras to it that I don't have to be as worried about like, is the format going to work? Am I going to have enough content to figure all this out and things of that nature?
So you're spending basically a day or 2 days with the person.
The goal is 1 day, though. In that first episode, admittedly, we did go up to shoot a second day, and the reason being was we wanted to get that garage scene. So we went back up to, in fact, if you're watching and you pay attention, I'm wearing a different gray t-shirt in that garage scene. It's not a V-neck. It's just a gray t-shirt. I didn't realize until after the fact, but it happens.
So now, what kind of gear are you bringing? What are the basics? Like, what are you doing most of the shooting on? Camera, microphone, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so the 2 main cameras are the Canon M50s.
Nice.
The reason is they're small. The video quality is great. The video length that you can like shoot on one battery is great. I mean, the only thing that stinks is there's a 30-minute like limit that like if this was a Sony, I could like totally take that limit off. Or if this was a a Panasonic, I could totally take the limit off. But then I sacrifice, in my opinion, the greatest autofocus, and being a 1 to 2 person man band, you need great autofocus, or else it's going to go poop real quick.
You find the autofocus better on the M50 than on Canon's A whatever line?
Sony's
rep.
Yes and no. So Sony does a great job, like the IF, and they do, it does do a good job. The problem is if you don't dial in the settings on that very specifically, you end up getting the rubber band effect. And I don't know if you've ever seen this. If you haven't seen it, there's a really good video where PewDiePie just shot it with some other YouTuber that I wasn't familiar with. Anyway, there's 2 of them in scene, and the camera's like, I don't know who to do. I'm just going to town, like flipping back and forth between the faces. And then like at one point, both of them look away, and all you see is the whiteboard in the background, because it just goes too fast. It doesn't feel natural. So like, I think the autofocus is actually maybe too good, because it's just like, oh, there's face. Oh, there's face. There's face. Face. Squirrel. Face. Face. Squirrel. Like it's just it. Yeah. So I've had 2 Sonys. Actually 3 Sonys. I've had the Sony A6300, which I loved, except for the fact that when you're shooting by yourself, you can't tell what's going on unless you buy another monitor, because you can't do that or flip up. Now they have the 6400, but at this point I had already bought I already had an M50 that I love shooting vlogs on, so I wasn't going to buy a different camera that has different color, because one of the things that I want to try to avoid is a whole bunch of color grading, if I can. So
if you had to do it again, would you get the 6400, or you like the lighter weight and the autofocus capability of the M50?
Well, the other problem is you can't, even with the 6400, like you put the mic up top, and now the screen is flipping in front of the mic, so that's not really that good either. I mean, the unlimited shoot time is great, don't get me wrong. I would love to have unlimited shoot time with this. I only shoot it at 1080p. I'm not shooting at 4K or anything like that. But yeah, I just feel like I would. So the other Sony I've had is the RX 104 Mark IV and the Mark V. And you know what? The Mark V was probably my most favorite camera.
Is that
one fault?
Is that a point and shoot? Or?
Yeah, it's like now there's the Mark VI,
right? It's like
it was like $1,000, but I got it open box and it was like $750. So I'm like, cha-ching, like, makes it nice and easy to say yes, or easier, I should say, because 750 was still a huge commitment, especially when the Canon competitor is like $600. So
you're doing basically all your video with the M50.
Yeah, so I have 2 M50s with a couple different lenses. So I have 2 22mm f2 2.0 lenses. So if we want, we could get the same identical shot with the same settings and everything, just like that. Excuse me. I have the Canon EF, the Nifty 50, they call it, the 50mm f1.8 with a speed booster, so it makes it a full frame 50mm, which I didn't grab out of my bag, unfortunately, but it makes this thing like stick out like this. But the nice thing is it's great for like if we want to get like a zoomed in, like there's a couple shots where we wanted to have like a portrait type of shot of our guest on the show, and we were able to do that really well because it gives you that zoom and that shallow depth of field at the same time, especially when you're shooting in a restaurant where like people are walking behind you and things of that nature. So, and then the other lens is the Canon EF M, which is the mirrorless lens, which is an 11 to 22. So I use that for vlogging, so I can hold it about that far away, for reference, that far away. And then I have the kit lenses, which they're nice in a pinch. They're not terrible. It just isn't not something that I go out of my way to use. I generally try to stick to the 22, the 50, or the 11 to 22.
So when the reviews tell you it's not a full frame camera or whatever, that can be fixed with an adapter.
Yeah, so for like that, the Viltrox, whatever it's called, Canon EF M Viltrox full frame adapter is like $150, I think it was. So it wasn't a huge, like, it's not like a Metabones where it's like, do I really want to spend that extra because for $600 I could buy a third EOS M50, another M50, and another M50 gives me a whole nother angle to tell a story, right?
Right.
So the other camera that I do use to get other angles is the GoPro Hero 7. I had a Session 5. I loved my Hero Session 5 until it died. That's why I had to upgrade, and they don't make the Session anymore. I loved it because I could take that Session 5, and it's just like, it's literally like, if you don't know what it looks like, most people don't. It's like this box. It's just like a little cube. And when you stick it on a little tripod that's about this big, like a little Joby Gorillapod that's like, that tall, and you sit it somewhere, nobody knows what the heck that thing is. No one is like, oh no, like I gotta, I'm on camera or anything like that. It's very discreet. I used it to shoot inside of restaurants. You leave it on the beach. Nobody's messing with it because people don't know what it is. So, this, everybody knows what the heck this is.
Right,
and this is like, oh, I'm going to take that for sure. So getting time lapse with is what I also use this mostly for, time lapses and strapping it to the roof of the car. So in the first episode, I don't know if you saw, Ross, but like I did like a time lapse from the roof of the car. That's how I did it, was with this camera.
So you weren't shooting that like while you were driving. You had that on.
Oh no. Yep. I had a Gorilla. They make Joby makes like a suction cup, and I have like and I've lost one too. I lost a Session 5 because I didn't like lock the suction cup on, and like I almost got to where I was going, and it came off on the highway, and I lost it. But now I when I looked online, like people are like, oh, you should just buy this $10 metal like cable that like, and just like put it inside your sunroof or like around your rearview mirror or something, and then if it falls, like it'll catch it. So now I have that. It's like, now they tell me after I've lost one. But I think the thing I really enjoy using a lot is the was it the Zion or Zion gimbal. It's it's very nice because like it enables you to get shots that I wouldn't have been able to get otherwise. Like a shot where we're walking through the park was shot all on this, and I have like grips for it, and actually bought like a remote control, like a wireless remote control.
And that's for camera or for the GoPro?
This is for camera. So this actually snaps like right into place like this. I mean, this is all flipped around upside down, but it snaps like right into place.
And then does it how far does it reach out?
How far does it,
like, how far does it stretch out, or like the phone one stretches out, I think, like a selfie stick?
So there's an extended grip, and then like I have handles for it that you can like hold, like this will sit in the center and you hold it like this. That's why I bought like there's like a controller that you can buy, so because otherwise the controls for the gimbal are all here in the center of the stick, so you can't really use it while you're like, your hands are out here, away from the center of it. So you get this, you can like put it on there. But yeah, so I mean, it's not super long. You can put a tripod on the bottom of it, but I wouldn't trust it like to like put a ton of weight on it. But yeah, I mean, it works really well. I mean, if you're, is it perfect? Do I wish like this F2 22 mil was stabilized? Absolutely. It would be 1,000 times smoother, but it's not. So I use the digital stabilization with this, and you can get, as long as you like walk real slow with it, you can get some really cool looking shots.
So the camera body, the camera itself isn't stabilized. You have to rely on
it's electronically stabilized. So it's not stabilized like the A7 series from Sony or even the A6500 from Sony. Unfortunately, I wish it was. Electronically, it's not terrible. But I wouldn't. You don't want to do a lot of this because it'll like start warping the footage and stuff. But if you
electronically digital, or it's not as bad as digital stable?
No, it's digital.
It's digital.
Yeah. So it's like I said, on a lens like this where there's nothing, it helps. But it's it's not perfect.
So before we let you go, tell us about how you're getting audio, because you're also getting good quality audio for the show. How
Yeah.
are you going about doing that?
So I have a series of Rode mics, none of which I grabbed out of my car. But the one thing that on the scene where we went back to the house and shot the shot the garage cleaning scene, that was done with the new Rode Wireless Link Go or whatever it's called. Wireless
Right.
Go. It's like $200. It's phenomenal. Like I wish I had that. Would have saved so much time in post had I had that in the first place. Because I also have a Zoom H1N with a Rode Lab mic that we used in the show. Like you could see it pinned to Sandra in the episode. So in this case, like once we put on that wireless mic, like all of a sudden I don't have to sync audio with video to get it to go. Like we're already going to have the audio but I also have a Rode Video Mic Pro and a Video Mic Go and a Micro or Video Micro.
How do you like those?
So the Video Micro I love because it's small and I use it for vlogging like all the time. It's my go-to, like plop it on and go, and everybody looks at it and like, hey, what's that thing on the top? You know, what's that cat on the top? The Video Mic Go, I'm not a huge fan of it because it's very big and bulky for about the same audio quality that I'm getting out of the Micro, and it costs more. The Video Mic Pro, great, awesome. I don't know if I'd recommend it because because one of the downsides to this M50 is it doesn't show you the audio while you're recording. So that's really right. So, but on the wireless mic one that they had that I bought, that shows you the level right on top of the screen, like right on it. So you can see. The thing is, you don't know that this the cable didn't pop out, and you're not recording the audio that you thought you were. So it is a little scary. I'll admit. It's one of those things where it's like I kind of wish I had like Canon ADDs.
Right.
Instead, which I used to have, but I love the size of these and the battery life of these because I feel like the Canon ADD was never as long as these go for video.
Wow.
So it works. It's just, but that's also why I have multiple mics. So it's like, okay, if if one fails, at least I have backups just in case. Right. And I have the H1N that I can just plop down somewhere out of frame and capture even closer audio just in case.
The show's called The Top with Super Joe Pardo. Check it out on YouTube and find him on YouTube and everywhere else at Super Joe Pardo. He's also the founder of MapCon. MapCon 5 coming up, the Mid-Atlantic Podcast Conference. Check that out as well. Podcastmidatlantic.com, I believe, is the website where you can get all the information, tickets, and all that stuff. I can't wait to go. Thanks so much for coming back on, Joe. It's awesome learning about how you're doing all this tremendous production by yourself.
Thank you. It is tremendous, and it is a great time. I do enjoy it, and I have more in store, man. There's way more coming down the pike, so we got to talk, Ross.
Yeah, keep us posted, and definitely we'll promote it when your next show comes on.
Thank you. I look forward to chatting after in the after show.
Great. We will see you and Dan Norton and our next guest in the after show. That is Super Joe Pardo, and our next guest will tell you before she comes on. We will tell you that she will be a speaker at Social Media Week, Lima, Ohio, and at Lima she will be speaking. As I mentioned, she'll be on a panel with Chris Strub and some other big stars as well. And finally, there is the graphics, so I can stop beating around the bush. And so Dr. Addyson-Zhang will be speaking at Social Media Week Lima, June 18 and 19, as will I and me and I and many other people will be speaking there as well. Boy, this is a smooth one. This I'm going to send to the Radio and TV Hall of Fame or something. But anyway, if you still can make it, try and make it. It's a great event. It's June 18th and 19th next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, Lima, Ohio. It's the Midwest's largest social media marketing event. Livestreamuniverse.com/SMWL19. Livestreamuniverse.com/SMWL19. And now, after that fantastic transition, let's bring in our next guest. It's Dr. Addyson-Zhang joining us from somewhere around the world. She is speaking and traveling and hosting shows and doing it all. Back in Korea, I believe, right?
Yeah, I just landed. As you can see from my background, I'm literally at the airport, and this is my luggage, everything. Yes.
Well, I'm so honored that you took the time to join us. It's early in the morning there. You're traveling a lot, getting set to come to the U.S. for Social Media Week Lima, Ohio, as I mentioned. And you're the host of Classroom Without Walls, which is a phenomenal show. I think maybe more than almost any other show online. That's one that I make sure to watch every week. You have great guests. You ask great questions. And I've just seen the show grow. And I've seen your brand online just blow up, and your speaking gigs and everything else. How much of that is due to having a regular live streaming show, and how much of it is maybe some of the other things you're doing on social media?
I think honestly, probably 80%, really a lot. And my social media journey started before I launched the live streaming show, and I was kind of all over the place. And I did produce content, but here and there. But I really started to see a big difference, as you mentioned, in terms of my community, my business, speaking gigs, and overall my online presence after I launched the live streaming show. And like people ask me, that is my piece of advice to anyone ask me, really start to produce some sort of long form content. And for me, I love video, and happens to be live streaming. And for others, it doesn't have to be, but like any type of long form content. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot.
Right.
Actually, when I started the show was mainly because my full-time job was a college professor. So
Right.
when I launched the show, I was mainly trying to show my students
Mhm.
that they don't have to come to the classroom to learn. That's why it is called Classroom Without Walls. In this day and age, they can go anywhere, travel to any place, even where I am now at the airport. You can learn, and the social media has allowed this to happen. But like after 2 years, my show has grown a lot. Yeah, but when I started, it was mainly to reinvent traditional classroom teaching.
Well, that's a big part of what you're doing. You're an entrepreneur in the education space. And talk a little bit about your journey there, because you were a tenured professor at a university, and now you're kind of going off into a whole different realm. But I'll let you tell as much as you'd like to tell about it. It's very exciting. You've had some really interesting invitations and accomplishments, but I'll let you divulge what you're comfortable talking about.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I have been working in higher education for 2 decades, and after so many years, I really started to see how the system is not really preparing our students for the future. And I see some big missing pieces in our educational system, including digital literacy, digital storytelling. Gary Vee has been talking about this. I think regardless of a person's major, everyone should work really hard to build their personal brand. You don't have to be majoring in communication or social media or digital marketing to build a personal brand. Even you are a dentist and mechanical engineer, I think everyone should have a personal brand. So that is a big missing piece in our contemporary educational system. And another one I feel like it is really missing is this soul searching, inner journey. Like, I don't know about you, Ross. For me, once I truly discover my authentic self, what is my life calling? And when I can really align my professional career with my inner authentic self, I just feel so good. That alignment, it takes no energy for me to be me. But before, I had this public image I have to maintain. But this inner journey, I think it is so important. But that is another missing piece. And also another one is really, it's not, I feel like our curriculum should not be like separated by majors, but should be more holistic and should be based on problems. And when you are really trying to solve a problem, like us, we are entrepreneurs, we
Right.
are problem solvers. When you are trying to solve a problem, you use lots of skills, not just from one specific major or discipline, but multiple. Now I have to learn business, how to manage my personal finance, all those things. So all those are missing pieces. So because of that, I'm building my own school, which is called Classroom Without Walls Academy, that has all the elements that I mentioned that I think are missing in our contemporary educational system.
Wow. So that's going to be a totally different experience because it's actually going to prepare students for the world that they're going to live in and give them skills not only to succeed in a digital world, but to better find themselves because
Exactly.
rather
Be happy.
rather than
Exactly.
going to college at 18 or 19 and going down the list of majors and going, I think I'll do this because I think I'll study this
Exactly.
because I like to read, or I'm good at math, so I'll do that. Like without any sense of how that aligns with who you are.
Exactly. That is a common question. My students are in New Jersey, so suburb of New Jersey. And one question they tell me a lot is, Doctor, I don't know what to do. I have no idea. I think because they haven't been exposed so much in life, right? They spend pretty much their career as a student, and they did some part-time job here and there, but mainly like waiters, like small. Now it's really like the journey that we have been embarking on, right? To really discover. Do you agree that becoming an entrepreneur is also a journey to transform who we are? And I feel like
Yeah.
so many of my students, they haven't had a chance to embark on such a journey. And that's why I want to build, like I just came back from Singapore where I'm doing some groundwork for my 2-week immersion program in Singapore to cultivate students' entrepreneurship. And the reason I added this component of international traveling is because I feel like when you travel, when you step outside of your comfort zone, and magic starts to happen, and you truly start to discover who you are. And I think for me, almost all the major transformations happened to me because I was outside of my comfort zone and because I was able to, do this inner journey. Like I launched my show after we came to Korea 2 years ago.
Right.
I launched my show and blogging. I built my company and I started to do speaking. Like everything happened to me pretty much within the last 2 years. Interviews at Golden, all those things. It is pretty amazing what can happen to you when you are outside of your comfort zone. It is really fascinating, and I want our students to experience that, to travel a little bit more, to really discover who they are.
I also think that, and this could be traveled within, like for me, it was traveling
Exactly.
within the United States. It wasn't necessarily traveling around the world, but we can get our comfort zone also is filled with routine. So when you
Exactly.
get outside your comfort zone, it's like you're now able to see, hey, this thing that I thought was difficult to do, I just go
Exactly.
down and knock on the door and ask
Exactly.
somebody, or okay, I'll volunteer here, or I'll do an internship. Like when I was in my early 20s or whatever, like when I moved out, I moved out west, it just became very easy all of a sudden to get in and try different things and everything. It was like,
So
I've been kind of living a routine, and now I'm not living that anymore.
This is such a great point. And part of me to really kind of reinvent myself, to quit my job, to start doing this thing, it's really like I'm 40 years old. And when I was about like 38, I was like, wow, I could almost predict my life, right? My
Right.
life is just a routine. I go to school, I teach the same classes, I work on similar research project, I work with similar people. And it's just like so scary. There's nothing that is unknown. There's
Right.
nothing that is unpredictable. I was like, how can I even grow in this environment? And so yeah.
Hey. So
I really love what you mentioned about this concept of routine. I think really like you don't have to travel internationally, but really just to break away from the routine. And I think that's yes.
yeah, and let's get back to the personal brand, because I mean it's amazing. I think the way you've used your show and social media in general And now I'm understanding a part of it that I didn't even think of, which was really being in touch with your true self and being yourself. Because I mean, it's wonderful how after like each of your shows, you're so enthusiastic to share the tips that you learn with the guest. And I mean, that's, you know, people who've been doing podcasting for years and stuff know a little bit at the end of an interview. They might summarize a couple of key points, but they're doing that in post-production a day later, maybe, or something like that. I mean, you just grab your phone and get on Instagram or Twitter or wherever, and you know, you off the top of your head, you run through like the key points, and there's just a realness about it. And I think that's one of the things that draws people in to your content. Have you been able to sort of put a finger on it, like what you feel is enabled you to go from, you know, starting a show 2 years ago now to speaking at VidCon coming up this summer, which is, you know, one of the top online video conferences in the world?
So for me, I think I have definitely changed a lot, like just over the past 2 years. And what I've learned from my journey is that you really have to do two things. One is be consistent. Everybody's talking about this, but this is so true, because when I started my show, and a few of my friends, we kind of started at the same time, but I'm the only person who kind of survived, you know, who is still going. And the second one is really think, when you are running the show, when you are bringing the guests, really prioritize your community and your audience. And like even when I share my content, like the reason after I do the hour-long interview, I do a kind of 3 or 2 minutes recap is for people who cannot watch the entire hour-long interview, so they can just watch my short video and to know what are the key points. And even after the live streaming show is over and I go back to the original post, I do an edit, you know, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, all the platforms that allow you to edit your post. So I edit my post, I highlight the key points so that even people who are not going to watch the interview, and they can read my key points and they know, and they can decide if they want to watch the interview or not. I always try to give my audience different options to make it easier for them to consume my content, so they don't have to do the extra work to watch my show, read my article, but I am doing the extra work for them. So really always think about your audience and try different ways to serve them, because people consume content very differently, and some people prefer video, some people prefer audio, some people prefer written text, and try to diversify and make this easier for them, and always think about your audience. And even when I was doing my show, and when I just started, I did this almost like a 2 minutes introduction of my show. What is my show about? Now I just cut everything. I just dive into the topic, and for people who are joining right now, they can just benefit. Even if they stay for 5 minutes, I want to make sure they can benefit from that 5 minutes content.
We're talking with Dr. Addyson-Zhang. She's the host of Classroom Without Walls. And coming up in a little bit, we'll do some post-show. All our guests will join us, and you can join us too. There'll be a link at that time. And the post-show will be on our YouTube channel. Right now, we're going out to about 6 different platforms, but we'll do the post-show on YouTube, rossbrand.tv. We'll take you there, rossbrand.tv. If you want to head over to the YouTube channel, we'll be getting started with the post-show in just a little bit. I think one of the other things that really stands out, and we talked about repurposing content with Dan Norton earlier, and it could be repurposing a live video with video clips, but it could be doing the summary like you do, is realizing how many people who don't watch your show still get your content, still helps you build your brand, whether it's through images from the show or related to the show or to promote the show, whether it's through those summaries, whether it's through repurposing clips. I think that's almost as important to reach outside of your core audience as anything else you could be doing related to live streaming, even though it isn't exactly live streaming, right?
Absolutely. And I used to, like, for every interview I did, I do a blog post recap. And I just don't have the time to do it. But that is something I want to go back, because as I mentioned, written content and people. There are lots of people. Even the blog articles I wrote like 2 years ago, I did a blog article compared a few different social media, a few different third-party tools that we can use to go live, and that article is still bringing me traffic, and that was from 2 years ago. It was pretty crazy, and so I still see value in written content. So if I can, I also want to do a recap in terms of like blogging and my live streaming interview. Yeah.
Now, you use pretty much all the major social platforms. Do you have one or two that are your focus, or that you feel you have the strongest audience, or that it's most important to create content for? Or do you just look at it as a piece of content and it needs to be everywhere?
Yeah, I tend to be all over the place, but I started my journey on Twitter, really just like try to focus on Twitter. But about like a few years ago, I kind of expanded to different platforms. And I can see, like, I think on different platforms, I have different audience. I don't really have, I think YouTube is my weakest, which I just started this year. But other social media channels, pretty much the same. Yeah, like Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. I started to spend a lot more time on LinkedIn starting last year, and I really started to see the benefits of being really active on LinkedIn, especially now with access to LinkedIn Live. And so a few hours ago, I got a message from someone on LinkedIn and commenting and asked me how to help him with live streaming. And so, yeah, I can see kind of different audience demographic on different channels. I can also see the benefits of being active on different social media channels. And on Instagram, it's really interesting. I have a lot more people watching my Instagram stories than my newsfeed. My newsfeed, I don't really get. I was like, maybe I should just stop posting pictures. So I feel like nobody. But my Instagram stories, I have so many people watching, which is you see me on Instagram. I just love like being really crazy, being who I am. I think that's another thing. I just really be you, be authentic. When I started on this journey, I was trying to be you. I was trying to be Brent Fenzo. I was trying to be everybody else other than me. But now after some time, I think, I have discovered my authentic self. I'm just like me. Yeah.
Well, now that you've taken off like you have, we now all want to be you. So
that is so funny.
We're talking with Dr. Addyson-Zhang. She is in Korea right now. It's early in the morning at the airport, and she'll be speaking at Social Media Week Lima coming up next week. When you do posts, things other than live video for LinkedIn, are there any tips? I know we heard Judy Fox had some great tips on your show yesterday. Anything that you're finding that really resonates when you do it on LinkedIn?
I think really, for me, less is more. I don't post every day, but I want to make sure every piece of content I put out is good, is solid, right? I use emojis. I break like first point and what I'm trying, like, what is my call to action? What am I trying to post? What am I trying to say? What do I want my audience to do after they consume this piece of content? Be really intentional. I think we have way too much noise in the digital media space. And I want to make an effort to reduce the noise. And every piece of content I share, I want to make sure it is good. And as I mentioned earlier, I produce lots of video content. Even for the video content I do on LinkedIn, I give people a highlight. This video is about this, and this. Just I do not add captions to my video, which I should. And so for people who don't even watch the video, if they just read through my post, they know exactly. And sometimes I watch people's video. They were like, watch this video to learn the top 3 tips. I was like, I can't watch the video now, but I want to learn the top 3 tips. And I don't want my audience to struggle with that. So I always, I spend lots of time doing copywriting to really think about and what is the best way to communicate my message.
Yeah, there's so much advice that goes in different directions. I used to always, load up the post with information and everything. Then, I was seeing some people who are doing well advising, okay, put as little information as possible. Then people will watch the video or they'll click through to the link or whatever. And I think you gotta, like, at the end of the day, just do what feels right to you and what's within your personality, because from some people it might be just a line that teases and sends you to a link or to a video, but for somebody else it might be that your thorough posts and your thoughtful tips are what what bring them to your content.
Yeah, exactly. That's such a great point. Going back to education, I feel like education is not just about learning facts and information, but this process of learning, unlearn, and relearn. Deconstruct what we have learned and reconstruct what works for us. And even I remember when Mark Schaefer was on my show, and I asked him this question about video content. He was like, just because everyone's producing video content doesn't mean you have to do it. If you are really crappy in front of video, you shouldn't do it.
Right.
And do what works for you. So I totally agree. And this is what I shared is what have been working for me. And all the tips and strategies and tactics, they work for me. And maybe it will not work for you. So you have to kind of learn, unlearn, and relearn.
Well, I mean, video is definitely working for you, both live video and video clips on social media. That is Dr. Addyson-Zhang. Again, her show is Classroom Without Walls every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, and 5 a.m. in Korea, right?
We're heading back to the U.S., so things will definitely be better. Yeah. That's the fear. So you don't even know how many times I was thinking about just like giving up. It's like so hard, and traveling and bringing my gear. It is hard, but you just have to be, and you really have to do what you love. This just sounds so cliche, but I really do what you love, and because I really love producing video content, it is really fun for me to do, so I can keep going. Yeah.
Well, it's such an honor to have you on for the first time. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Cannot wait to meet you in person coming up on Tuesday at Social Media Week Lima. And stick around for some post-show. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And thanks to Dan Norton and Super Joe Pardo, as well as Dr. Addyson-Zhang. Dan and Super Joe are welcome to move back into the main show. I don't know if you guys know I and Dan and Super Joe, and I'm probably pointing in the wrong direction. But the post show will be on YouTube on the Livestream Universe YouTube channel. So head on over there. Rossbrand.tv is a redirect that'll take you there, and we will begin the post show. Look at that.
No, it's not funny. It's a tornado warning.
Oh no.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know if you can, it looks really fuzzy on my end, but
wait, in your area?
Yeah, apparently we don't get, I mean, lately we've been getting them like a lot. Like usually like once a year we'll get like a watch. Now we have a warning until it was the warning's worse, I think, right?
I don't know.
I think the warning's worse. We don't have a basement here, so we're good. We're good. Let's hopes and dreams, baby.
Uh-oh. I'm in New Jersey too, so I mean.
Oh wait, you are, Ross? I didn't realize you were in Jersey.
I'm in North Jersey, and we had the phone. The phone like actually went off, where like it was like an alarm going off.
Yeah, that's what my phone was just doing, but I have it silent, so it was just buzzing.
You need to go into like the. I should check mine. Mine's silenced. Nothing so far.
I didn't know it was going to be that bad. So I'm actually out in my garage right now. Like you can see, like there's my car. You can see the lights. I just moved out here because my daughter refuses to go to bed when we tell her to go to bed, and she comes because my office is right next to her room. So comes right in, banging on the keyboard and like not being. I don't mind that she's in there. It doesn't bother me, but it bothers me when she's like, I'm trying to talk to somebody and focus, and she's just like pulling at me, and I don't want to be mean. But so I'm in the garage. How awesome is that? And it might be a tornado.
Wow. That's not good. So, if you have to like jump off or anything, don't stay on. I mean, I know your devotion to broadcasting and TV,
I
but don't risk your life for the post show. If it was the regular part of the show, I'd say, hey, you're booked as a guest. You play through it, but
yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. It's just a warning. It's no big. It's just a scratch. It's no big deal. No big deal.
So anybody watching on Facebook, head on over to YouTube. We're going to drop off Facebook and shut down the other destinations. It's the Livestream Universe YouTube channel, rossbrand.tv. We'll take you there. And so we are live still on YouTube with Dr. Addyson-Zhang, Dan Norton, Super Joe Pardo. And talk a little bit about any of you guys can take this one. I mean, do you guys see yourself as like a live streamer or a podcaster or a YouTuber, or do you see yourselves as just content creators and, whatever, like it's all part of the same thing now? There's no distinction.
I
Go for it.
Anyone.
I can start first. So when I started on this journey, I was mainly, I think, a live streamer, really. But now I started to see myself more as an entrepreneur because I'm really trying to solve this problem in education through the lens of entrepreneurship. And my show, as I mentioned earlier, is really, now I see the bigger picture. My show is really for me to reinvent the traditional classroom. But now I see myself, my role is beyond being a live streamer. It's a little bit bigger and an entrepreneur and trying to solve an educational problem.
I mean, I guess I need to create more content to be considered one of those. I mean, I was creating a lot of stuff on YouTube, but I mean, you could call me a live streamer because I've been in the live streaming business for 10 years. But, I think I kind of lean more towards being an entrepreneur because, my goal is to help people repurpose their videos, and a video editor, right? That's my background. But, I'm sure I'll be doing more live streaming and all of that stuff. So kind of all of everything. So I guess that does lean more towards a business and entrepreneur, or at least that's what I would like to be more leaning towards, as opposed to just being a content creator.
I see myself as an entrepreneur and an artist, because of all the different things that I've done and continue to do, and just creating art in different ways, whether it's, the music that I've created, the video, the blog post, the actual artwork for my books, the books themselves, like, the t-shirts, all that stuff. Just, I used to like shun the artist idea. Like, no, I am not. I play one in a book, but I'm not an artist, and that's the whole point. But I think as time has grown over the last 5 years, I think I am considering myself an artist at this point.
Cool. What's something that I don't know, what was like the moment where you realized, okay, this is working? Like being online, creating content, creating videos or podcasts or live streaming or social posts, blogs, whatever it is. Like what was the point where you were starting to go, wow, this is worth it? It's a lot of hard work, but you know what? It's kind of worth it. Dan,
well, I guess for me, yeah, it's man, that started way back in my second film school. So, and it was long before I was even creating stuff online, but recognizing like, hey, I don't necessarily want to be in the film industry anymore, and seeing what's going on online. This is like 2008. And, looking at that, and I'm like, oh man, this is where it needs to be. So then I'm arguing with my, professors who are like, no, there's no money online. You got to be a producer, you got to get into filmmaking, like films and stuff. And you're not going to make that kind of money online. And I'm like, I think you can, but I was just following people to learn from it because I didn't, I don't have a business background. I'm like Joe was saying, it's like came more from an art world, more from like a filmmaking world. So learning and understanding marketing and business is like the polar opposite of what you come from that space. Really, for me, 2015 when I got married was like, all right, I need to make something happen. That's where I discovered YouTube was more than just like, you know, YouTubers or people who want to be filmmakers. I had a really poor view of what a YouTuber was, coming from a filmmaker world. It's like all these people, they don't have an understanding of what, you know, all of the real work that gets put into this stuff. But it was a poor understanding and a poor view that just comes from that industry. And then once my son was born, it's like, all right, now I need to make, and that's we started a parenting channel and started making things happen, started making money, and got to this point now. So I'd say like 2008 to 2015 was the understanding, and then 2015 was like, all right, it's actually, you know, 2017 was like, it's actually working for me.
So for me, I think it is really after I started to receive comments and messages, private messages and emails from people who are in my community to tell me how much my content has changed their lives or made an impact in their lives. And I still remember the first message I received a few years ago. I was like, really, me? I'm just like, really? I don't really know what I was doing. And but yeah, and now I started to receive more and more, and got like speaking gigs, invitations, people who want to work with me, and then like slowly I was like, wow, this is crazy, this is working. Yeah.
Right. What kind of advice did you get, or did you just figure it out on your own as far as like how to start getting speaking gigs? Because now it seems like you're speaking everywhere. You're speaking all over the world, and I mean, VidCon is, you know, obviously, like I said, it's top notch in terms of video creators getting to speak there.
For me, really, my priority is to really focus on producing quality content, serving my audience, as we discussed earlier. And all the speaking gigs, they just came to me. I didn't apply to any, and I just got a message like someone asked me, hey, do you want to serve on the same panel with us at VidCon? I was like, yes, of course, honor. So they just reach out to me, and even the one I did quite a few in South Korea, and just from different social media channels. Some of them reach out to me through LinkedIn, some through Facebook, some through Twitter, just like different channels. They watch my content, and there are lots of lurkers. Sometimes people approach you, they tell you, I have been watching your content for blah, blah years or several months, but I never reach out. You don't even know this person. So just be patient. And for me, be patient and always just think about how I can serve my audience and produce quality content. And content that has to be aligned with what you want to do. There has to be that alignment. Otherwise, your audience will be like, what is this person? Yeah, confused. Yeah.
Joe, who do we have there?
This is Ava. Say hi, Ava.
Hi.
She was reading a book with a flashlight, so she came in and said it's shining. And yeah, I thought it was because of the tornado warning that we're, you know, my sister called me. That's who I was on the phone with, because she was saying that it's apparently hooking over us. But good news, we're only like 25 minutes away from the warning not being there anymore. So hey, you know, it's all good. I still got power, like knock on wood.
What is with all these tornado warnings in New Jersey all of a sudden?
I don't know. I mean, this used to be a safe haven for like no bad weather ever happened in South Jersey, but now it's like every week we got like tornado warnings. Straight the last couple of years we had straight winds and what was the micro bursts that like destroyed a lot of trees. It was really bad actually. But yeah, so I don't know. But this is Ava. Say hi.
Hi.
Hi, Ava.
They said hi. You hear him say hi? Yeah,
hi,
that's a yes. Yeah.
So Dan, you're safe there on Long Island, or you guys have been getting some strange weather too?
Nah, it's been pretty average. So seems good right now till all that weather from South Jersey comes up here.
Right. Now, are you moving back to New Jersey when you come back to the States?
Yeah, I was about to ask you, Joe, which part of South Jersey? Because we are in Philadelphia. We visit Jersey a lot.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, I could see the skyline from down the street. So like I'm in Clarksboro, which is just outside of like Paulsboro, Deptford, 20 minutes south of Cherry Hill. If you're familiar with any of those towns.
Yeah. We go to Cherry Hill a lot. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Philadelphia, we are going back, moving back on June 30th. So last day in June. Yeah.
That is awesome. I feel like we should have a meetup or something. That would be
I
that would be awesome.
Well, y'all have to come to our New York City video mastermind. We're not too
So
far.
I've heard about this hashtag that I need to get myself up to New York for.
Yeah, and John DeStefano lives down somewhere in close to your area. And in fact, he's going to be going to MapCon as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
oh, yeah, he does.
outside of Philly.
Yeah. If you said Regor,
Regular.
yeah, I would know that. Yes, he lives literally one town over from me.
So yeah. So bringing the creators to the East Coast.
Yeah. Yeah, finally. Now we need to create our own conference, right?
Yeah. Now,
Make one here.
Now, like Joe and I are really Philadelphia people. They live in New Jersey, but they're really Philadelphia people. And Dan, who lives in Long Island, and I live in North Jersey, are really New York centric people. Like, if you can think of it that way.
No one really wants to identify with Jersey, right?
Oh, now look.
Where's Jay Leaves? Like, I always
We're
give him a hard
Super
time.
Bowls in New Jersey, just saying.
That's true. Yeah, the only real New York sports, New York football team is up in Buffalo, right?
Oh.
That's funny. So, what do you guys? What's next for you guys? Is there a next big project or event? Obviously, you got MapCon, you've got VidCon, and Social Media Week Lima. Dan, you're probably heading back out to Vid Summit. But in terms of your own content creation and stuff, what's kind of been your focus or going to be the next big thing that you're working on?
I'm still just, as of now, I'm still focused on picking up clients, building out my repurposing services. And that's starting with just, building up the list of people and finding out what exactly they want and need so that I can help them the best way possible. I'm hitting a conference every month from July through October to do that. And I'm volunteering where I need to do so I can afford to hit a conference every single one of those months, starting with Pat Flynn's FlynnCon 1 in July, which I'm really excited about to get out there. I'll be hanging out with Owen afterwards too. Which will be great. Owen Video, who's been my mentor for the last half a year. So, yeah.
Is the Pineapple Juice Gang getting together again? Beauty Bubble.
Yeah, so
Beauty Bubble was in the chat when you were doing the IRL live stream. Mentioned Pineapple Juice Gang. Yeah.
So Vid Summit's going to be awesome because of how many people were on that live stream that I was on, Daryl Eve's live stream. And for those 2 days of being on there, built up that great collection of friends and so many people who watched that live stream. And not just when I was on, right? Not just the 20-something hours I was on it, but the entire 5 days of that live stream. What a marketing success I would call that. And I haven't talked to Daryl about it recently, but I want to, about how powerful that was. There's so many people that have come to tell me, like, I bought my Vid Summit ticket because of watching that live stream. So, like, that's what's so powerful about live stream. We've talked about it on here, Russ, multiple times, even after Vid Summit and in between there when we were at NAB and different things, about how powerful live streaming can be, behind the scenes live streaming can be for selling tickets to these events when people go and see them and they're like, wow, there is like such a value to the hallway and to the people that are there. And because so many of us who are doing this, entrepreneurs and live streamers and creators, are don't feel above people that they have to like get out of there. And obviously if you're like Gary V level, you have to get out of there. You're going to be mobbed and it's not good. Right. But that so many people are willing to, wake up early and you're talking to them and you're up till late and we're just hanging out around there. When people see that on a live stream, they're like, oh, I didn't realize that's what was going on. Like, I have to get there now. Right. And I'm just like, hey, get there whatever way you can. If it's got to be volunteering. I actually think volunteering is probably better in some ways, because you're getting like behind the scenes access. You're getting connected with people that you would never get connected with if you just paid for a ticket and attended. So yeah, I'm attending some conferences, going to video marketing worlds. I'm excited for that. But
Listen,
yeah,
the question I asked wasn't really that great, but your answer was terrific. So let's redirect. Do you do any live streaming when you're at conferences, or do you see people live streaming either on behalf of the conference or doing their own thing? Like, where do you see live streaming fitting in for you or for the conference when you're at these events?
Yeah, so for me, like, cause my show is on every Wednesday, so if the conference happens to be in the time when I have to do my show, so I do go live. I just grab whoever is at the conference
Right.
and talk to them ahead of time and book them to be on my show. If not, I don't really. I produce short video content. I don't like just go live solo, do a quick recap, and other than that, I try to kind of focus more on doing like face-to-face
Right.
networking, getting to know people. Even when I was at Social Media Examiner, their conference in San Diego this year, the conference was so big, there were so many people, I couldn't even chat with anyone. So after the conference was over, this is funny, I had to schedule Zoom chat with people to catch up because we couldn't see each other at the conference.
Wow.
It's so crazy. So if I don't have a particular reason to go live, I try to spend more time with people who are at the conference and produce like short pre-recorded video content to share later.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a tough call for me because on one hand, it's like it's so great to go live from these events because there's so much to talk about from what's going on in the sessions to who's there and everything else. And then there's like a wealth of potential guests you can have drop in left and right. But at the same time, it's like your only chance to spend time in real life with a lot of people, and you don't want to miss that either because you were busy, going live. So it's like it's hard to balance because it's like the coolest place to go live from a lot of times, but you also want to spend the time with people. Joe, do people have live streamed at all from MapCon?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I personally don't because I shoot for the vlog for MapCon, so I have that content to promote after the fact. But yeah, people definitely do. I think it's fine. I mean, if you're talking with somebody, you're still getting that one-on-one
right,
interaction. If you're doing it and like not talking, like you're just talking to your audience for more than maybe 2, 3, 4 minutes, to me that's wasted time. Past like the rate of return on that is going to be less and less, and your opportunity to meet these people in real life and create those relationships that last forever is diminished. So you're not getting your value out of that.
Awesome. Well, thanks all you guys for sticking around for the post show. Thanks to Tachi, Beauty Bubble, both so active in the chat. I know you're at the airport, so you probably want to move on to just about any other place. Joe, you've got a tornado coming.
They extended it to 9 o'clock now,
Yeah.
so it's not just going away.
And,
yeah, my backyard is like a pond now.
And you've got some stuff to repurpose, I'm sure. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks so much, Dr. Addyson-Zhang, Dan Norton, Super Joe Pardo. You guys are awesome. Love you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of Ross and broadcasting.
Thank you so much, Ross. See you in a few days.
Yes. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.